guys, thank you for joining me today for this time lapse. In this video, I'd like to answer a couple of art-related questions. I get frequently asked what materials do you use, what art supplies can you recommend for people who want to take up oil painting, and stuff like that. Well, honestly, there is a great variety of brands out there now that produce good oil paints and paint thinners, mediums, and so on. I'll try to list the materials and brands I personally like and use in the description below, so you can check them out. As a surface for my paintings, I use primed linen canvases. Sometimes I stretch canvases myself, sometimes not. If I do, I prime them with acrylic gesso, and then I use some sandpaper to kind of smooth out the surface. But you can get some pre-stretched, primed, ready-to-use canvases, and that's a great option as well. You will also need some brushes and a palette. I use synthetic brushes because I found that they're more durable than natural ones. And as a palette, I actually use a piece of glass that I picked up in some hardware store, and I don't even remember. And I painted the back side of it with acrylic paint in neutral color, and now use it as a palette, and it's very efficient. I enjoy using it. Another question I will address today is how important is the lighting in the studio? Well, I think it's very important because lighting affects how you see colors. You don't want to paint something thinking that those are the right colors, and then the next day you take your painting into the daylight and you see that actually all the colors are not what you expected and they have some kind of a different tone to them. It's especially hard to judge dark colors in the poor lighting. I think this painting is quite a good example because I'm painting a dark brown dog, and if I were painting him under the dim or yellowish lighting, I would have troubles mixing the proper brown color. Because brown paint and purple paint look very alike under those lighting conditions, and so I could be painting with purple paint thinking that it's brown, and I'm pretty sure eventually I would look at the painting under the daylight and I would see that the colors are not what I thought they should be or would be, and that happened to me in the past, so I think lighting is very important. I suggest getting fluorescent about 5000 K bulbs for the area where you're working. The measure K is Kelvin. It represents the color of the light. So 3000 K would be very orangey yellow color, 6000 K would be very blue and cold, and about 5000 K, 5500 K would be balanced white light, and that's what you need. It's the best option for the studio lighting. On that note, another thing that I'd like to address is lighting is not the only thing that matters when it comes to setting up the studio or the working space where you paint. What I've learned is that you have to paint in comfort, which is quite common sense and intuitive, but it's worth paying attention to. So what I mean by comfort is everything should be placed the way it's convenient to you. For example, the surface of your painting has to be in front of you, not too high, not too low. The palette should be right there, easy to reach. Painting takes hours and it requires sitting or standing in one position for quite a long period of time. So it's nice to find a position that doesn't put a lot of pressure on your back, for example, or your posture. And yeah, everything should be just convenient. I'll give you an example. When I first started filming my painting process, I had hard times positioning the camera, and it always seemed to be getting in my way, and it was so uncomfortable, and I guess it took more time for me to finish my works because I was focusing more on that instead of actual painting. And I remember I wasn't even so happy to get back to work after a break because I felt it so inconvenient, uncomfortable. Thankfully, I don't have this problem anymore. But what I'm getting at is working space setup can really affect your painting and even the quality of your painting, and so don't take it for granted. That's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this painting. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.